Good morning, and thank you for watching another live edition of Sunday Kickoff. I am Fidel Barraza. Alongside with me, like always, Jerry Martinez, Kenda Whitley, Walter Stringer. Gentlemen, happened week 18. Hope you guys are doing well.
It's
Yes,
the end
sir.
end
I'm
of
doing
the
great.
NFL. It's the end of the NFL regular season, man. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And this side of the screen right here is still involved in the playoffs.
You can
Even though
block me out because this side is done, officially
we
done.
still competing out here, man. That's all you can ask for,
But I
for
think you and Kendall are going to join the party today, so
oh
we'll keep
what
the
if me
couch.
and Kendall what if
We'll,
me and
we'll,
Kendall don't though?
well, we'll see. But I
I
think
hope
that's
so.
what I think.
I hope
I don't
so.
know. Yeah. So again, week 18 is finally here. Man, the season kind of flew by, right?
Marathon, man.
Yeah, obviously a lot going on. But let's start by talking about the Bengals and Bills game on Monday Night Football. And Damar Hamlin, he went into cardiac arrest. Was it twice? He had to be given CPR on the field. A very scary sight for anybody watching the game, and a lot of people were watching this game. This game had potentially, was going to be the game of the year. A lot was on the line. The number one seed, divisions, and everything else. So yeah, Damar Hamlin suffered cardiac arrest. Luckily, they were able to, revive him on the field. Uh, Denny Kellington, I believe, is the person in the Bill staff that was giving Damar CPR, and then obviously all the first responders. I mean, they responded pretty quickly, and it looked pretty bad at first. But luckily, Damar showed improvement. I believe he sent some tweets out yesterday, and he's doing well, and it looks like he's on the road to recovery.
So I think
Yeah,
I think it deserves a round of applause for all those that did their job, man. So how about it, right? Like you said, it's a scary sight, but man, God is good, man. The prayers were answered. So, and
yeah. Obviously,
what a strong kid too, right? I mean, did you see his message that he gave to the team? Go finish it. Like, wow, so
yeah.
selfless.
That's
Well, I think
big
the
for
first thing he said when he woke up, he wrote down on a piece of paper, "Did we win the game?" So I mean, that kind of just tells you what kind of kid he is.
big. It's real big right there for DeVar Hamlin. All our thoughts and prayers are with him as he continue to get better. His family, the Bills, the whole NFL. I know they're going. I know they're contributing all the games today to him. They're wearing number three jerseys while they're warming up and like a patch on the jersey. I think it's good that all the teams are doing it, and not just the Bills, because we all felt that on Monday night what happened with DeMar or whatnot. So I think that's huge for them and whatnot. And now from the just want he's continuing to make progress and he's getting better, whatnot. But it's not over with, whatnot. And I think football is the farthest thing from his from playing right now for him anyway. I mean, just him continue getting better. But it is good that he put out a tweet. I think an Instagram post he put out yesterday too. He
Yeah,
put that out and whatnot, and so that's great. And I think that's a big relief for the Bills because on Monday, Tuesday, and maybe a little bit of Wednesday, we didn't know we're gonna have football this weekend or if the Bills are going to play this game or whatnot. So I think that's huge. It's a big relief for them. I saw the guys out there practicing the other day. They were showing highlights and stuff on TV. They like they're in good spirits or whatnot. Now they got to get ready to play a game, but I think it's big. I think times like this, you set rivalries aside, and you just everybody come together as a unit or whatnot, and you just play your best ball or whatnot, and it's a prime time or whatnot, and the whole league felt that, not just the Bills or whatnot. The whole league felt it, and our thoughts and prayers are continuing with him, his family, and like Jerry said, hats off to the first responders and all that, man, because it was a pretty devastating week, man. It was.
Yeah, I thought seeing it happen live was horrifying. Because at first instance, your mind immediately goes to the worst case scenario, and
yeah.
just seeing that happen was terrible, especially considering the fact that this man's family was in the stands, and you know, it puts everything in perspective. I think, because when it comes down to it, we all love football. We demand our football on Saturdays. Let's be honest. We demand our football on Friday nights. We demand it on Saturday afternoons. We demand it on Sunday afternoons, and we take for granted that these men go out there on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, in practice in 100-degree heat in the summer to get their bodies in condition. These guys put themselves through hell to play football, and I understand they make a ton of money compared to the average everyday person, but that doesn't mean these dudes aren't humans.
Hmm.
And it really it's sensitized, desensitized. Well, it got to the point where I think as a society, we've been desensitized to athletes.
Mm.
We don't view them as humans. We view them as complete entertainment, and we feel like they're these gladiators that will never break down, and everyone's body can break down.
Yeah, and shout out to ESPN, man. I mean, because I think they handle it well. I mean, they were at uncharted waters. I mean, with everything that happened. So I think they navigated the best that they could during that
Shout out
difficult.
RC Ryan Clark.
Yeah,
Yeah,
shout out Ryan
definitely.
Clark, everybody over there at ESPN, Troy and Joe, and
Yeah.
he had a toy drive that he was raising money for, and I believe the amount he had ended up raising was 2,500. Well, now that toy drive, that GoFundMe account is over $4 million. So that kind of tells you how everybody was trying to support Jamar while he was, I mean, obviously still a long road, to recovery,
Hmm.
but I think that showed a good sign from NFL and people in general.
I think it was at like over 7.5 million. The GoFundMe account. It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of money. But with that being said, the NFL was put in a very difficult situation. Week 18 is today. Well, yes, it started yesterday, right? So they had to make some changes to the AFC playoffs. So essentially, if the number of teams, if the teams that meet in the AFC Championship have played an unnumbered of games, the AFC Championship game is going to be at a neutral site. So yesterday, the Chiefs beat the Raiders. They clinched and won. But if they end up playing either Buffalo or Cincinnati, they will not be hosting that playoff game in Kansas City. It will be at a neutral site.
I think it's fair. I guess you can say, depending on what this neutral site going to be at. Who knows? But I think it's probably the best. It is either going to be dead, or I think they're going to add a playoff team or something like that. That's probably the other option, or whatnot. But I think it's fair, or whatnot. I feel bad for the Buffalo and Cincinnati or whatnot. I mean, we don't have no control of what happened last Monday night, but a lot of people you see, they like the Chiefs benefited from all this and things like that. But they still had to go out and play the games and things. But I think it was the best case scenario, or whatnot, that what Goodell and the league offers and what they did this past week. And I think it's probably the best thing that could happen. Nothing's
And,
gonna be perfect. Somebody's gonna have an issue with it, but it
and
is
the
what
other
it
thing
is.
is, too, so Cincinnati wins the division. They play Baltimore today. For whatever reason, if Baltimore wins today, they're going to have to flip a coin to see who's going to host a playoff game next week.
Yeah.
So that's the one that's kind of like, well, man, like they're in a
That's the
really tough
best they could
spot.
come up with, though,
I
to
know, and
decide it.
that's the thing. But honestly, what could the NFL do? Move the playoffs back? They can't do that. There's television contracts. There's people that already booked tickets, flights, things like that. They can't. You know what I mean? It just happened at the worst time. I mean, not that it was a good time to happen anytime, right? But as far as the scheduling goes, it just threw a wrench in there.
I think that. I mean,
It was so spur of the moment. The way this whole situation hit everyone, I completely understand the league really doesn't have any idea what to honestly do. So, like I said, I agree with Kendall. People are going to complain either way. This was the best I guess they could come up with in this type of situation. What can you do that's going to make Cincinnati happy, make the people of Buffalo happy, that organization, because they just couldn't replay that game. They couldn't.
And they had a voting with the owners, obviously, and I think only three of them did not like it and said no.
it's all perspective, I guess, how you look at it, right? I mean, Kendall, you said it well. I mean, shoot. I mean, if it's happening to your team, you're probably not liking it. So,
No.
but I think the NFL they have some very clever people to kind of fix these things out. So we'll see how the rest of it goes, and hopefully there's no hopefully a team doesn't gain momentum that wasn't expected, right?
Well, I mean, if a team's good enough, they should be able to win at home or on the road.
True.
And we saw it with Cincinnati last season. So let's talk about the game last night between Tennessee and Jacksonville. That was a good game. Jacksonville won the football game and won the South now, and Tennessee's officially eliminated from the playoffs. Shout
Yep.
out to Doug Peterson, man. He's done a great job with this football team.
Yes, he has, man. The Jaguars played a good. They got to a slow start, a little rusty to start off, but I don't think nobody out here thought the Tennessee was going to win this game or put. I felt that Jaguars would come out the second half, make some adjustments, and they've kind of been a second half team for the most time, and we've seen that they've came back a bunch of times this year. So I didn't think that nobody really felt that Tennessee would take away this game. They got Derrick Henry going just a little bit. We saw some old shades of Henry, but notwithstanding. And the Jaguars, this young team, they just keep fighting. And I know we talked pre-show. But I think Jazz, this first time they won the division in some years or whatnot, I don't think the Jazz will be an easy out in the playoffs. It's tough playing in Miami or Jacksonville when it's hot or whatnot, no matter when time of the year. This ain't gonna be no walkover team. I don't think they'll be just happy just making it. I think they really probably can do some damage or whatnot. Trevor Lawrence playing good in those weapons, defense is ascending. And I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, I know we're gonna put it up on the screen in a minute. They're playing the Chargers, I believe, or is it the Ravens? So
Chargers.
Chargers. It's not going to be no walk in the park, man. I don't think nobody wants to play these Jaguars, man. This is a different fourth seed. I mean, you look at them out. These not just same old Jacksonville Jaguar. I think they can cause some problems, and they might be. They could be the Bengals from last year. We don't know.
Shout out to Harvey, right? Because he said there's no other way to do it. This was the best case scenario. Bottom line, he's talking about the scheduling, and he says I feel like Dobbs did a better job, if not the same play as Tannehill, but it's costing the Titans about 27 million more.
Well, they were leading this football game late in the game. If it wasn't for that fumble that I thought was gonna be, I thought it was a forward pass. I mean that's what cost him the game at the end, essentially.
But in that game, there were so many iffy plays too. I mean, what did they call the potential touchdown pass against Christian Kirk? It looked like pass interference. They didn't call it right.
No.
So there's a bunch of iffy calls, but I mean that was kind of like a real fast play. So yeah, it's crazy what Dobbs has been able to do in like short notice, and he was in a different game plan. I think he was in a different playbook of what was it like a week prior to these last 2 weeks. So
Well, he's only been on the
Man,
team with 17 days.
yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying.
they was aggressive with him to start. They convert like 2 fourth downs, like the first drive or so or whatnot. So they was aggressive, and they just let him go with it. So I like seeing that from Vrabel and the guys.
So let me ask you, I guess you guys a couple of questions on the Tennessee Titans. Number one, how long do you think that the Titans can go with Vrabel as the head coach?
Until he gets tired of being there.
I don't know. I mean, things
Isn't
I
this
tend
the
to
first
use the
time he's
word.
missed the playoffs?
Yeah, I tend to use the word stale a decent amount. If you go back to 2017, even back when Mike Mularkey was the head coach, they were a proverbial 9-17. I think they went 9-7 about what 4 straight years. And then once Vrabel started to hit his stride, they went 11-5 the COVID year. They followed it up with 12-5 last year, first place, number one seed, and then they kind of fell off a cliff this season. They went to 7-10. Um, they never really solved the quarterback position. You know, Tannehill obviously he's not the situation guy that they need. Malik Willis hasn't shown that much promise this season, so the jury's still out on him. And they're pretty much when you take a look around the rest of the AFC South. Jacksonville's got their guy for damn sure. The Colts and the Texans are pretty much guaranteed to get their guys this offseason. So the Tennessee Titans could be staring last place in the division next season right in the face. And then if you look at Jacksonville, everything for me goes back to the quarterback. And if you look at the maturation of Trevor went from 12-17 last year to 25-8 this year. Touchdown to interception ratio. Um, his completion percentage is up from 59% to 66%. And if you look at what it is, his rating, more than anything else, his rating is up 23 points. And if you look at him, his play down the stretch, after that big loss to Detroit, they won 5 straight. And in those 5 games, he had a ratio of 8-2. 8 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. The better he played, and the thing, it started somewhere around, I believe, that Baltimore Ravens game a few weeks ago, where you started to really see him have his signature moments. But we said last season, when you take a guy number one overall, this is what you expect him to do for your franchise. He didn't have a ton of help this season. You know, he had Christian Kirk. And as you mentioned it, Fidel, Doug Peterson. Who knows where Trevor is right now if Urban is still there? You know, he got Travis Etienne healthy. They made some adjustments on the offensive line. But more than anything else, Trevor is making the guys around him better. You know for damn sure Trevor can do that. And that's one thing I always focus on when it comes to can a guy be the guy at quarterback. Not how he performs when you got everything perfect around him, but when things aren't perfect around him, can he still put that team on his back and get you there? And Trevor proved to be able to do that. I just find it odd that, and I wonder how many times this has happened in history where the teams who had the number one, number two overall picks in the draft made the playoffs the following season. And you're looking at Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson, who Hutchinson has a chance later on today with a win over Green Bay and some help from Seattle. So I'm very, very impressed with Jacksonville, man.
Javier says, "Walt, that's why coaching is big in the NFL."
You see, Jacksonville finally took coaching serious, right?
Yeah.
they
Sure,
finally took
sure.
it serious.
But I guess he's also saying towards the Lions, right, with Dan Campbell too. So, I mean,
Well, patience too. Be patient with these guys. You know, people wanted Dan Campbell fired after last season. People wanted Dan Campbell fired after what 4 or 5 games this season, and it's hard to get fans to be patient.
he also said Trevor was never going to be great with Urban Meyer.
I agree. You can't
I,
be great in a toxic relationship.
patience is key. What do you think, Kendall? How long do the Titans stick around with Mike Vrabel? Because I mean, we've seen the GM already. They let go of the GM, right?
Yeah, Robinson is going. I think Ray will still be there. I mean, this is first what
It's
he
his
made the
first
playoffs the past. Yeah, he made the
the
playoffs.
last 3 seasons made the playoffs.
Yeah, he'll be there. I mean, he'll be. I think they got other problems than just Brian Vrabel. I mean, look at your wide receivers. Look at I mean, the quarterback position or whatnot. I think they got other problems than. I don't think they're at that point yet with Vrabel. I like Vrabel too, not because he's a former Patriot, but I do
He's a
like
good
Vrabel. I think he's a
coach.
good coach. Yeah, he's a good coach. He's good at rallying his team or whatnot.
You guys think they can go into next season with the same Derrick Henry centric offense?
No,
Mm.
they can't, and they'll figure it out this offseason. Number one thing's
I
gonna
would
be
like to see them find a backup, a
well.
reliable backup to take some of the load off of him and get whoever the quarterback is, get him some weapons.
They
Yeah.
should have never traded away AJ Brown. I think that was the first domino to fall for the GM to be
It's a
fired.
business. It's a business.
I understand, but you got to keep your coach involved. And from what I read, they're not keeping him involved. Hence the camera being in the draft room and when it happened, and he didn't look happy. Anyways, yeah, they gotta address the quarterback situation too. What are you gonna do with Ryan Tannehill? You're gonna bring him back next season? He's coming off that ankle injury. Yeah, they
About
got
30,
some issues.
35, I think. He's 35, I believe. Hill.
He's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Tennessee's got multiple problems to figure out. First thing is going to do, they need to hire a GM. So we'll see
Well,
who the
isn't
Kents are
isn't
going to be
Taylor
for that.
Lewan probably going to be gone too?
Yeah, he's going to be a casualty, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. He is
he
30.
said it
He'll be
himself.
35.
Yeah,
He'll be 35 when the league year starts. He's 34 right now, but
Hey Jerry, what you call me?
the NFL almanac. Tannehill is gone, so yeah, I think he is gone. Man, so much to say, right? What
Yeah.
what team was next though?
Well, let's move on to the playoff scenarios. Obviously, a lot of playoff clinching scenarios. So, Walt, if you can throw that up for us.
oh yeah, why
So,
not?
obviously, we still got some teams in the race. New England, Detroit, Green Bay, Seattle, just to name a few. Um, So obviously we got the Chiefs at 1, but we already went over those scenarios that play Bengals or the Bills in the AFC Championship. Again, the game will be on a neutral site. Jacksonville won last night. Scroll down, Wall, and the Chargers are in, so they're probably going to end up playing Jacksonville. And then Baltimore's the last seed, and they got a game against Cincinnati, but they're in already.
No, Baltimore is the fifth seed, right?
6.
Sorry, I can't see it on there.
Baltimore
Yeah, they're
six.
Small
6.
print.
They're 6
Okay, Baltimore
behind the
six.
Chargers.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
so
Patriots
I believe the
man.
Ravens can still jump the Chargers, can't they?
Mm-hmm.
If
they have to
the
beat.
Chargers would have to lose to Denver too.
Oh yeah, I don't. I don't see that
But
happening.
Ravens are already in the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So, okay.
Go ahead and read the bottom out. Well, if you can.
All right. So as far as the AFC, the New England Patriots are still in the hunt at number 7 at 8-8, and the Miami Dolphins are still in the hunt at 8-8. So
So let's start with New England. What do they need to do to get in? So obviously they got to beat. They got to beat Buffalo.
They have
Buffalo.
we have Patriots have to beat Buffalo, and if they but they still can get in if Miami loses to the Jets with
Yeah.
I think they're starting Thompson. Bridgewater will be.
It's
I don't know if
Flacco versus
Bridgewater.
Thompson.
Yeah, but that game's in Miami, and if the Browns can go into Pittsburgh, so really, I like how the NFL did it with all these games playing at 1 o'clock. That way, nobody really knows and whatnot. But yeah, Patriots still can get in with a loss. But the easiest scenario for them to win in Buffalo today, they win and they're in. They control their own destiny, basically.
And then Miami's got a bunch of problems. I don't see them winning today. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh's still in it,
All they need is to win. I think they need the Dolphins to lose and Patriots lose.
and they're in.
That would be crazy if the Steelers through this entire season
I
just
got
hid
a
in the
feeling they're
weeds
going.
and got in.
Yep, I got a feeling they're going to get that 7th spot, Pittsburgh.
I see Cleveland beating Pittsburgh today.
Mm.
I can see the Dolphins. I can see the Jets beating the Dolphins before I see Cleveland beating Pittsburgh.
That's what I'm picking. I'm going with the Browns. 2-1 today. All right. So
But still, how do you feel? How do you guys feel about the NFL? Right, and shout out to Harvey because he's the one who first pointed this out, the scheduling of it. Because I mean, it's like, did the NFL know something that we don't know? I mean, like, why is the Seahawks right there in that situation? You know what I mean? And then you have later on, what was it, the Detroit Lions versus the Packers?
yeah. So let's go to the top. Let's run through the AFC. Then we
All
can
right.
read those off too.
All right. Hold on 1 second. All right. So in the AFC, we're looking at it right now. The Chiefs have clinched the division and home field advantage at number 1, for what that's worth. The Buffalo Bills have clinched the division. They're still pretty much battling it out with Cincinnati at 2-3. And for the most part, I think the only thing that's really in concrete right now, for the most part, unless the Chargers drop the ball against Denver today, would be Jacksonville at number 4. They've got the 4th seed locked up against the number 5 seed Chargers. So for the
Yep.
most part, that's the only thing I think that's in concrete not right now, unless the Chargers fumble up at Denver.
All right. Let's move on to the NFC. Now, if we could. So obviously, uh, I believe Jalen's going to play today
Yeah.
against the Giants. Giants are playing the backups. Eagles win. They get the 1 seed. They wrap it up. Uh, if they were to lose, which is a big if, Niners, if they win, they move to the 1.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Minnesota there at 3. They play Chicago today. Not really much. They already won the division, so they're in. Tampa won the division last week against Carolina, so they're in. So they play the Falcons today. So it'll be interesting to see how long they play the starters for. Dallas is in. They play the Commanders, and I believe the Commanders are officially out now with the loss last week.
Yep.
And then we got the New York Football Giants. They're playing the backups. They're in the dance, so they're in.
Yeah.
In the hunt. So this is, I think the NFC things are a little bit more interesting. So Seattle's got a big game against the Los Angeles Chargers. They win, they're in. Correct?
Correct.
If they lose, the Sunday night football game, everything is on the line. Get
Well,
in the
hold up. Wait a
playoffs.
minute. Wait a minute. I think actually no. Seattle can win and still not get in. I believe because if the Packers win tonight, they would have the tiebreaker over Seattle. So even if Seattle wins at 4 o'clock, well, it'll probably be around somewhere close to 7. Even if they win, they still have to wait to see what happens.
I'm hoping Seattle loses to make things more interesting on Sunday night between these two teams.
Yeah.
Detroit, Green Bay. Detroit embarrassed Green Bay earlier in the season, if I'm not mistaken. This
Huh?
green this game is going to be in Lambeau Field as well. So, I mean, Wall. I mean, let me just ask
Could
you.
you could you get go ahead?
You being a Lions fan, I mean, how do you feel about everything?
Uh, Honestly, I'm looking at it trying to be as truthful as possible. I don't think we make it. I think Seattle, mainly because I think Seattle isn't going to lose to the Rams. But if they do, that really turns the juice up. You're telling us we got a chance. So yeah,
That
Basically,
Lions and
I just don't
Seahawks
see
game.
Seattle dropping that game to the Rams. But it is a divisional game. Could I
It
see the
is.
Rams potentially knocking off Seattle and ruining things
A-
for them?
And
Yeah.
and here's the other thing too, Walt. I mean, Baker Mayfield, this might be his last game as a Ram. So he wants to
Hmm.
show out. He wants to get paid this offseason, right? So
Yeah.
the best way to do it is by having a good game on the last week of the season.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of uncertainty going on with the Rams right now, so I think they're gonna come out fired. You know what I mean? Like Rams, I've heard talk. Ramsey might not be the next. They could trade him, get some picks. McVay
Yeah.
might get a TV deal.
Yeah.
The quarterback Baker Mayfield, Aaron Donald. You know, they got a lot, and the Donald's not playing today, but they got a lot of stuff going on there. I think Rams gonna try to come out and play very hard. It's a divisional foe, try to knock Seattle out. So I would not sleep on the Rams. But back to Detroit to the Lions. The Lions and Seahawks, they game came down to the wire earlier this year, didn't it, Walt?
Nah, not really. I mean, it theoretically it did, but Seattle, they just
They
punched
were
us in the
controlled,
mouth
yeah.
constantly. They controlled the game, and then by the time late fourth quarter rolled around, things looked closer than what it really was. But
And now it might come down to y'all losing that game early this year, where it might hurt y'all today.
yeah, I mean, if you look at it for what it is, I think we've played somewhat better than Green Bay this season. The
Hmm.
defense has been terrible overall. That's really but was been what killed us. We were able to beat them 15-9 back in week 9, I believe, which kind of set off our winning streak. Not to mention theirs. I think Green Bay finished the season winning 4 out of their last 6 so far, leading up to today. But I think we have a legit chance. If you look at the matchups, we've got a young defense, a young opportunistic defense going up against their receiving core, which is kind of young. You got guys like Christian Watson out there. Randall Cobb, he's got experience, but Cobb isn't anything close to what he used to be in his prime. And more than anything, I think people aren't really paying attention to is the injury list right now for Green Bay. They got
Hmm.
everybody on that list unspecified hours before the game, which means they're hiding something. You got Aaron Rodgers, who's been limited at practice with a right thumb injury and a knee injury all week. You got guys like Aaron Jones. They've been kind of hush hush about. Um, so yeah, they got a lot going on right now, man. I just think people need to take a lot of things into account tonight before they just bet
If
on history. And I think that's what a lot of people are betting on. They're betting on history and they're betting on perception. And this
how
is a completely
crazy
different Detroit team.
And
if Green Bay go ahead, Jerry.
he says the NFL will make Seattle lose to set up the actual Sunday night game. So, uh,
I think they're gonna lose.
I mean, it kind of feels like that, doesn't it?
I think they're gonna lose.
A Terry McLaurin play, something.
I'm just
I
saying,
think they're gonna lose.
it's weird, man. I mean,
It wouldn't shock me. It was a divisional game, and Seattle hasn't played well since they beat the Giants, which I believe
I'm
was back
telling you,
like week
Baker
11.
Mayfield's gonna have
They
motivation.
ain't played well since they went to Germany and came back.
Well, yeah, you're right, Tampa. You're right. You're right.
But hey, how fitting would it be if Green Bay gets that 7th spot, which a lot of us think is going to happen, and they have to go to seven? Like, how many times has Rodgers played the 49ers in the playoffs?
Or
Like that would be. I would love to. That's one. I think a lot of people
Or
root
five
for that.
times.
I would love to see that one, man.
No,
who
I want to
wins?
see that,
Who,
man.
who would win?
San Francisco
Man,
again.
man, call them the upset. Green Bay wins.
Man,
I'm with
listen.
Fidel, man. I think Green Bay, man. What I say a few weeks ago, if they get in there, man, don't nobody want to see them. I think Rodgers tired of
Man.
losing to the 49ers, man.
Ain't
I
nobody
think
scared of them dudes, man.
I'll
No
tell you
more.
this. You know who I would be afraid of? I would be afraid of the Detroit Lions getting because I don't know if anybody can stack up that many points. Nobody can keep up with that offense, and it's
Yeah, I don't think we'll have to worry about that though. Unfortunately, sorry, Walt.
Hey.
I think they're not.
Here the
I
Raider
think
guy
Detroit.
go,
I think the Lions.
Oh,
I think
man,
it-
I'm
I
just
think
a
Detroit
bitter
got-
Raider fan over here.
It-
Don't
it's-
want anybody's team to make it.
it's funny. It's funny every time Fidel makes a bold take, it just goes the other way. So I'm gonna back for. I'm backing the other side where Fidel's going in this.
All right, so you like Detroit to win tonight, Jerry?
Yeah, I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay, I'll go
I'm going
Packers.
Green Bay. I'm going Green Bay.
Yeah, I like Packers.
I don't know, man. Green Bay, like Walt was trying to tell you guys, but I don't know if you guys were listening to him. He was saying, man, the lot of shady stuff going on with the Packers. They haven't even told you the actual injury report. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they got everybody still unspecified.
I like Green Bay. Green Bay. Green Bay.
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you.
Had
I
Detroit,
understand why.
had Detroit not beat them the way they did earlier this year, I would go with the Lions. But We seen what the Vikings did to Green Bay earlier this year, and we just saw what happened last week to Minnesota. Now they get their face back against Detroit and Lambeau Field with a playoff spot on the line. Give me Aaron Rodgers all day.
Yeah. And look, I'm not saying the Lions can't win. They can win, but I think the Packers are going to win.
This gentleman right here says, "Give him the Lions."
Well, I'm gonna ask you guys this about this game. That's it. Last thing. We know, we've seen all season, the best way to get at the Detroit Lions defense is to run the ball right at them. We've seen Carolina do it. We've seen Seattle do it. We've seen Philadelphia do it. We've seen tons of teams do it this season. Green Bay has the potential. They have the two backs to do it. I don't think the offensive line is good enough to really just stack up against us and just say they're going to punch us in the mouth like that. But how much of it is based upon when you look at LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers? Do they want to win, or do they want to make sure Aaron Rodgers is the reason they win? Because to me, the bright thing for them to do would be to just run the ball right at us. That would be the smart thing to do. But does Aaron Rodgers want to be the reason?
I don't think so. They just want to win, man. They want to win and get in.
I'm just asking because we've seen some offensive coordinators and coaches they don't call the game based upon what they should do.
No, I understand the question, but I mean, tonight they're just trying to win. I mean, who expected them to be at this point?
Yeah.
We thought they were dead after they lost to Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, I had them as a 10-win team this season before the season started.
I think a lot of people did.
11-win team, had to win in the division.
So, well, with that being said, any final thoughts before we end today's show?
Man, I have a lot of thoughts, but I'll just save them for another day.
Get ready for a crazy week, man.
Yeah.
Dude, it's playoff talk all next week. Every day next week.
And also, we'll probably have some, I feel bad saying them, but some coaches getting fired tomorrow.
Black Monday.
Black Monday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, go ahead.
Real quick, who do y'all think or may get fired tomorrow? I mean, just off top of your mind right now, who you think a few coach that could be getting fired?
Cliff Kingsbury.
And there's always a surprise.
He might retire though, or whatever the hell that.
I did see a report about Sean McVay retiring.
He's going to take some time, according to Adam Schefter. So,
what about Lovie Smith?
He tried to make his case with McNair, the owner there, and
what about Ron Rivera? He might.
I don't know.
I don't
man.
think they let him.
That's a tough one. I don't think they let him go.
There's going to be a shot though.
I think they do.
You think they let him go?
I have a question for us. What coach is on the hot seat playing in the playoffs?
Ooh.
That's a good one, Harvey.
Man, that is a good one because, I mean, right away I kind of want to go with Mike McCarthy. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, man.
Well, hold up. Let's take a look at this real quick.
No, it's a good question. It's a great question, actually.
Let's be honest. John Harbaugh.
Brandon Staley.
John Harbaugh? No.
Nah, Harbaugh's good.
You think Staley gets fired?
I don't think he gets fired, but he has to on the hot seat. I think it's Brandon Staley. I mean, look at every other coach. I mean, you think anybody? I mean, Jacksonville just won the game last time. They're in the playoffs.
And I mean, we can't really say the Bucks, right? Because
Todd Bowles.
Well, I mean,
I think if the Chargers. Yeah, I think if the Chargers win a game, I think Staley is good.
And what if they don't?
Dude, they're going against the Jags, man. The Jags right now are coming off, and
what if they lose bad though?
Well, they got. Let's think about earlier in the year. Didn't they get embarrassed by Jacksonville at home?
Mm-hmm.
But
damn, I forgot all about that.
The question is are you really gonna fire a coach that got you to the playoffs, though? You know what I mean? So,
well, he didn't say fire. He said on the hot seat, right?
I understand that.
Who you gonna get? Who you gonna get this better? Because Peyton's already talking to Denver. Harbaugh's.
That's not a done deal, though.
Well, how good do we think Staley is, though?
I don't think he's very good at all, but that's just my opinion, and I've been saying
he's kind of calmed down on going for it on fourth down.
He has, which is good for him.
The game management in general, I mean, Herbert's the reason.
Just fucking let your guy out there and win the game, man. Just let him play. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Give me the Bucks, the Cowboys, the Chargers, man. Those coaches will be on the hot seat, man, because obviously with Todd Bowles,
Yeah.
questionable year. I even heard people like asking, "Hey, should the NFL take into consideration of how they look at things?" Because I mean, we were talking about this in our pregame show. Is it's crazy how the Bucks basically were just a subpar team and barely were able to punch or win their actual division. But yet they're gonna go ahead and face off against the fifth seed, which in this case the fifth seed
Dallas.
is probably, if not the second or third best team in the actual NFC. So why are you gonna why are you rewarding a second place trophy to a team by giving them the home field advantage? You know what I mean? So I understand. Obviously it goes both ways, right? Obviously if you're a fan of the Cowboys, that really resonates with you. If you're a fan of the Bucks, you'd be like, win your division or have a better record. But this is kind of like the questions that all pretty good. However,
Hey,
the top Bowls is not a head coach material. He goes, and I hate to say
Well, you
that.
know what? There's been a lot of rumblings around that locker room and that team all season. This is a team that they were a championship team 2 years ago. Um, they were a comeback against what a deep post a blown deep
yeah,
post to
against the Rams.
Cooper Cup. Yeah, from being potentially right back. Um, I can't see them. I think Bowles is gone if they lose. If they get really embarrassed now to Dallas at home, I think it's a complete guarantee. But Tampa could be viewing a small rebuild in place.
Well, and here's the thing, Walt. Tom's going to be a free agent. I don't think he's going to
True.
come back. I
Well,
don't think
what
he's
are they
coming
going to
back.
do with Mike Evans also? How much
Yeah,
money are they going to pay
that's what I was
Mike
about to
Evans?
say. That's what I was about to say. Mike Evans and
Devin White isn't he coming
yep,
up?
they might be rebuilding there if because Tom. All things for that. I think Tom is probably done there after this year. That's what it
Yeah.
seems like. I've heard Raiders, New England, San Francisco, but I don't think he'll be back in Tampa now. I think that ship is kind of sailed for everything I've heard. I would put the Raiders number one. They get
Yeah.
Brady next year, but we'll see. We just speculating right now. We don't know,
Yeah.
but
But
yeah,
everything kind of seems to go that way that he's not going to be back. Todd Bowles, I don't know, man. I don't think he's done a good job
I
this season.
never liked the fit
Not
with
being
him and
real.
with I never liked the fit with him and Brady from the start.
Good coordinator. I think he and Steve Wilkes are those guys in the same pretty much the same category where they're outstanding coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've never seen either guy. Well, we've seen Bowles with Brady and putting in a pretty good situation, but Bowles is a guy outside him, but Wilkes is a guy that we haven't really seen get a fair shake. Going back to Arizona, where he was kind of like the sacrificial lamb for that one season until they were able to get was it Murray or was it Rosen? No, they
Hey,
gave him Rosen.
but
They
but
gave him
I don't think
Rosen.
he's going to be back in Carolina, Walt.
No,
I mean, Tepper already talked to Harbaugh.
yeah.
I mean, you want to keep your coach. You want to reach out to your college coach. Hey,
Well,
would
he
you be
also
interested in
said
coming?
once he made Wilkes the interim, he also said that there wasn't really much he could do to keep the job outside of
Well,
something
and
miraculous.
I forget what the quote was, but essentially, if Carolina would have won last week, I think he would have a
We'll
hard
probably
time
yeah.
keeping this
You
coach.
can't fire him. Like I think he'd be. They won that division last week. And he's from
Well,
Charlotte, so he's
I
back.
don't know.
the
Raiders
Raiders.
fucking Raiders
I
never
was
Trevor
about to
without you, and
say,
they took the playoffs after everything happened last season.
yeah,
So who knows?
they did. These owners cutthroat, man.
Yeah, they are.
How
But
dare you win?
look, hey,
Tom will
uh,
be a Raider. Mark my words.
I've been saying that, so yeah, I think that's gonna happen.
Man,
Yeah, Tom,
already at 47. Wow.
46. He'll be 46 in
If this
August.
So
become a circus at any time,
if he would be when do y'all think that'll come together? Like really during the first week of free agency, or I mean, because I
First
think
week.
if he's not gonna go back to Tampa, he gotta let them know before free agency starts, so they can know.
Well,
Hey,
I think they know he's not coming back. I don't
right.
think it's a secret. So yeah, so I think first week. Josh McDaniels needs to win next season to keep his job, and Dave Ziegler knows that as well.
man, these coaches catching hell out here. Man.
Yeah, man.
Win next year or lose your job.
But it just shows you, man. I mean, like I was saying, I mean, what that they need a heel like Josh McDaniels to come in and move Derek Carr so they can move into a new, a new phase, right? Life after Derek Carr type situation, And what he said, look at it, Fidel. He's
Oh,
I'll
get
get
it now.
about
Hey,
Tom Brady.
I'm not talking about this season anymore. We're moving on to next season. We're off to the off season.
Off to the draft.
Yep. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you everyone out there for watching. Enjoy the games. It's playoff time, just around the corner. We'll talk to you guys
Peace.
next week.